Hi guys. I'm not gonna be talking really loud. I'm recording this on my phone. I got Tiffy. She's cute. She's sleeping. And I see Jack coming in. So anyways, I'm just doing a quick video on kind of what everything that went on the last week. And why there was no videos. I know I posted. And most of you inside the US know exactly what happened. Some of you outside the US might know what happened. But it has been an exhausting 2 weeks. So to start off, my kids had fair the week before, or not 2 weeks ago. And that is an exhausting time for my family. We're busy, and the kids did really good for their consumer science projects. Neither of them placed in those, but it was their first year ever doing that, so we didn't have high hopes. My son made brownies, and while they didn't place, they actually had good reviews, so my husband was kind of confused why they didn't place. And then they actually sold. So how it goes is the kids' brownies, if you don't win Grand or Grand Reserve, they have what they call the country store, and they sell the baked goods. And if they sell the baked goods, they do like a 50-50 split. So somebody came in and paid $10 for my son's brownies, and so he got $5 out of it. So he was pretty excited about that. My daughter did photography, and they don't sell those afterwards, but so she got her picture back. Then we had to do all the brownie baking on Monday and drop them off on Monday. And then on Tuesday, they both had breeder rabbits. My daughter got third place with her red New Zealand doe, and champion with her black New Zealand buck. And my son got champion with his white New Zealand doe and reserve champion with his black New Zealand buck. So that meant that their champions went up on the table for Grand and Grand Reserve. And on top of all this, so fair was supposed to be the week prior. And due to COVID, they pushed it back a week. And in the meantime, before they pushed it back a week, I had purchased daddy-daughter date tickets. So we have a local small movie theater. We had our kids' birthday parties there. We love it. We support it. It's just a single movie theater, and they play a lot of like older movies. So they played Little Mermaid, and then they partner with the local Chick-fil-A, and they offer chicken nugget meals, I believe is what my husband said it was, for the daddy and the daughter. And they did it last year. Last year was the first year, and they enjoyed it. Since we moved here, my husband's been doing like the daddy-daughter dance with my daughter, and he prefers the daddy-daughter date over the daddy-daughter dance because my daughter doesn't want to go and dance with him. So he feels the daddy-daughter date is better spent. So anyways, I bought the tickets for that, and then they pushed fair back a week, and I could not change the date on the tickets. So the plan was my son would put the rabbits up on the table for Grand and Grand Reserve. We didn't expect anything to come from it. Well, they both won Grand Reserve. So my son won Grand Reserve with his white doe, and my daughter won not Grand Reserve, both of them won Grand. So that's essentially the top. So my son was excited. My daughter wasn't there. She was at the date with my husband, and so my son went and took the pictures with the rabbits. And then my father-in-law brought us home, and so when my daughter got home, my son gave her all her stuff. She won a banner and a belt buckle. They both won a banner and a belt buckle. And then on Wednesday was fryer rabbits or meat pen rabbits, which for those that don't know what a meat pen rabbit is or a fryer rabbit is, they essentially are supposed to be for eating. Yes, you can eat rabbits. You need to have three identical or close to identical rabbits and as close to identical weight as possible, that are in good condition, under 6 months of age. They have to be a junior, and they typically need to be under 6 pounds. For our fare, it has to be under 5.5 pounds. So it can be difficult, but the reward is these ones get to go to auction. And so the first year we did this, my son only had, you can enter 2 meat pens. My son had only one. And that one wasn't that great. The rabbits that we bred to do the meat pens, it didn't work out for us. Second year, he did better. He was towards the middle. There's typically around 140 to 150 meat pens, and second year, he was right around 75. So this year, he was determined to place for auction. And my daughter, so the two of them worked together with my father-in-law and my husband and they worked really hard on their project this year, and it paid off this year. So each of them this was my daughter's first year in fair. Each of them had 2 meat pens. So that meant 6 rabbits each. My daughter had 2 California meat pens, and my son had a California and a New Zealand meat pen. His first meat pen came off the table in the top 50, which that was exciting in itself because that meant he was moving up. Well, his second meat pen placed in 5th place, which meant he went to auction. Anything 10th place or above goes to auction, although they do have up to 20th place in reserve because there's auction rules. My daughter's first meat pen got 4th place, so she was happy with that. Well, her second meat pen got grand, so that meant she had the best meat pen available. Like, she was super excited about that. This was her first year ever doing it. My kids were excited in themselves. We had always been saying, a lot of families do it this way, that they have more than one child that does meat pen rabbits. If they make auction, however much they make at auction gets split amongst the kids. And in our case, both kids made it, so we're still going to combine the money and then divide it. So that was Wednesday. Thursday, they were going back to school. Well, Thursday, we started getting bad weather. Like, we woke up and it was pretty cold, but like the temperature kept dropping, and then it started raining, and because it was cold out, it was freezing. So the schools ended up actually closing early. You could either have your kids come home on the bus, which they would have brought them home about an hour early, for elementary, or you could go pick up your kids early. Our driveway has a steep incline, and it's like, I know how to drive in this. I know how to drive in ice. I know how to drive in winter weather. My issue wasn't so much driving in it. It was, I can get my van out of the driveway, but I wasn't going to be getting my van back in the driveway because my driveway was just like a sheet of ice. A friend of mine was already on her way to the school to pick up her kids, and she's like, you know what? I'll just grab your kids. She's on their pickup list, so all I did have to do was call the school and say, hey, so-and-so is picking up my kids when they pick up her kids, and they said, okay, that's all we needed to know. So she picked them up, she dropped them off. We were kind of planning to hunker down for the day. Then they ended up canceling school on Friday. So literally the week of fair, they were just going to go to school Thursday and Friday. They didn't even really have half a day. They got home, I think she got them home around noon. So they literally were there not even about half a day. And then Friday was completely canceled due to weather, because Thursday night, not only did we got snow on top of the ice. Now, being from up north, that's actually a good thing because you can drive on the packed snow, and the packed snow actually makes better traction versus just the ice. Well, so Friday, no school. Then we have Saturday, Sunday. They're already off. Sunday, my daughter had a fit, and it resulted in my phone getting broke. So that was a thing in itself. Well, I was frustrated with everything going on. My sister-in-law, I was talking to her. I was practically in tears, and she's like, you know what? I'm sending her husband, my brother-in-law, over to pick you guys up. She goes, when your husband gets off work, he can come pick you guys up and take you home. Or if he gets stuck at work or he can't get over here to get you, just bring some clothes just in case you have to spend the night. So the kids packed up a bag, and we headed over there. At this point on Sunday, okay, it iced on Thursday, it snowed on Saturday, Friday, it snowed on Saturday, and then Sunday night it rained again. It warmed up enough for it to rain, so then it was ice on top of the snow. In Texas, it was bitterly cold. Like, I know I'm from up north, but we were having below zero temperatures, and that's unheard of here. So anyways, my husband was able to get to us Sunday night. We came home because of the weather and everybody's heat running. Our electric company, okay, how Texas is set up. Texas is set up with their own electric grid, and it's unregulated by federal standards because they didn't want to have it regulated. Well, because of this, they weren't able to produce enough electricity to cover the needs of everybody's heat running and other electrical needs. So on Sunday night, they announced they're implementing rolling blackouts, which was supposed to be your power would go out. It was supposed to be your power would go out 15 minutes and be on 45 minutes. Go out 15 minutes and be on 45 minutes. Well, they started having issues with that. Like, we got home Sunday night and they were doing rolling blackouts, but every 10 minutes, our power would go out for 30 seconds to a minute and then come back on. It was literally on the dot every 3. So like 10:03, 10:13, 10:23, 10:33, 10:43, 10:53, now 11:03. And it was really annoying, but we still had power, we still had heat. It was kind of when the power came back on, if you wanted to make something to eat, you quickly threw it in the microwave. It could not be longer than 5 minutes in the microwave, just in case it kicked out quicker. The kids were getting frustrated though, because as soon as our internet would reboot or the TV and the satellite would reboot, it was power would go out and we were starting over from square one. So they were getting frustrated with that. They couldn't play a video game because every 10 minutes it would shut off and they couldn't save it. So they were just frustrated all around. So that was Monday when they got up. So when we got home on Sunday, this had been going on. I guess we talked to the neighbors and it had started around 6 o'clock Sunday night. So anyways, it went on all night. I didn't sleep very well because my husband has a CPAP machine, and every 10 minutes it would shut off and then it would come back on, and you would hear it kick back in. And he has a quiet one typically, but you would hear the shh noise and then the whole mask suction to his face again. And then we couldn't figure out what it was, but something kept beeping every time the power came back on. So it was annoying. It kept me up most of the night. So Monday morning rolls around. Like I said, the kids were bored because they couldn't watch TV. They couldn't play video games. They couldn't even watch a movie. So they were frustrated with that. We're like, you guys have plenty of toys. Pull something out. You got plenty of Legos. Play. Well, then 10 o'clock rolls around. 10:03 rolls around. And the power goes out. 10:04 rolls around and the power's still up. And then I look at my husband, I go, I think we've lost power completely. And he's like, no, maybe we've gone into the 45, 15 minutes off, 45 minutes on. Okay. So we wait and we wait and we wait, and power doesn't come back on. So my husband and I are kind of screwing around on our phone. The kids are playing a game. They're playing with Legos. They're finding stuff to do that doesn't include power, which they kept themselves busy for quite a while. And finally at 4:30, now mind you, instantly as soon as our power went off, my sister-in-law and brother-in-law who live with my mother-in-law, they had power the whole time. So anyways, I text her. I'm like, yep, power's finally off. She's like, come over. And I go, no, we're doing fine. So we actually sat around the house. My husband and I were kind of playing on our phones. I have a portable charger, so it wasn't a big deal. The kids, like I said, were finding stuff to do. Well, then finally around 4 o'clock, the kids were getting hungry. We were getting hungry. My husband had the bright idea he was going to order pizza. And I'm like, dude, most of the city is without power right now. I doubt that Pizza Hut or Domino's is going to be open. And sure enough, I was right. So he's like, well, let's head over to my mom's house. They said to come over. And let's go over there. We'll just eat. It wasn't cold in here. He goes, and then we'll eat there and we'll come home. Hopefully the power's back on then. So we went over there. We stopped at the grocery store, which it looked like Armageddon happened. The store shelves were cleared out. There wasn't much left. So we picked up a few things to take over there to eat. We made supper, and while we were there, some friends of theirs and their 3 kids showed up because they didn't have power either with their dog. So anyways, we ate. We were there for a while, and then around 9 o'clock, we're like, we should probably go home. See if the power's back on. The cats are at home. We can go home. We'll sleep. If the power's not back on in the morning, we'll just come back. And my brother-in-law's like, no, if the power's off, grab the cats and come back. And I go, you're allergic to cats. So, we're fine at home. We've got plenty of blankets. When we left, it wasn't too cold in there. The 4 of us can climb into bed together. We've got big blankets. Like I said, we've got plenty of blankets. In fact, we'll probably get too hot. My husband also my son is a space heater is what I call him, and my husband is a furnace. Both of them at night get way too hot to begin with. So I'm like, their body heat alone can heat up me and my daughter. They're like, no, grab the cats and come back. We'll figure it out. What to do with the cats. Like I said, my brother-in-law's allergic to them. So, and they knew that, especially Teffy, with the seizure issue that she had, I'm not too keen on wanting to leave her home very long alone, just in case another one would pop up. So, we come home, power's still out. I message them and they're like, get the cats and get back over here. We'll figure it out. So we grab the cats, we get what we need. I grab my pills, I grab the kids' pills. My husband grabs his own pills, he grabs a CPAP machine. We get the cats, we get a little pan for some litter. In fact, we had just bought a new container of litter, and the old container of litter had a little bit left enough for the pan. So I'm like, okay, it's just going to be a one-night thing. Threw some cat food in a Ziploc bag and Teffy's meds because we've been giving her CBD oil. And off we went. Now, mind you, my mother-in-law's house isn't very big, but my brother-in-law's there with my sister-in-law. They actually had brought my husband's grandpa, there because he lost power the week before. And then they had their friends there with their 3 kids, and then the 4 of us. So there was seriously, at this point, 13 people in the house. Yes, I think it was 13. 12. There were 12 people in the house. No, wait. Yeah, 9 and 3 is 12. So there's 12 of us in this house. And it was kind of you lay where you fall, or you sleep where you fall. I ended up sleeping in the closet with the cats because that's where we ended up putting them in. My mother-in-law has a not huge master closet, but it's a decent size. It was enough. It was big enough for me to sleep in there with the two cats. Had their litter box in there. To get to her master closet, you got to walk through her master bathroom. And so we shut the master closet door. We shut the bathroom door because in my mother-in-law's master bedroom was the friends with their two of their kids were sleeping in there with them and their Dalmatian. And that way the dog wasn't trying to get at the cats. I could keep an eye on Teffy at night. And my husband, my kids, and their oldest kid slept in the living room. My husband and son slept on the floor. My daughter and their daughter slept on the reclining couch. Grandpa slept in my niece's room when she's there because my brother-in-law gets her every other weekend. And then obviously my brother-in-law and sister-in-law were in their bedroom. So that was Monday night. We figured we'd get up Tuesday and come home and be able to come home. So we get up Tuesday, we come home, and still no power. So we check on everything, make sure everything's okay, make sure our pipes aren't frozen. And then the neighbors next door, we went and checked on them. And my husband finally got to meet them, actually. I had met the wife a few weeks prior, and she was super nice. Our last neighbors that were attached to us weren't that great. These ones are really nice. So we went and checked on them to make sure they were okay because when we were leaving Monday night, we were taking the cats and going. They were outside warming up in their car and charging their cell phones. And so we talked to them a little bit. Well, when we came back Tuesday, we checked on them. And I was telling my brother-in-law and sister-in-law about that. And they're like, well, why didn't you invite them over for supper? Like, I didn't think of that. Plus, it's not my house and not my place to say who to invite and where. And so they're like, well, when you go back tomorrow to check on everything, how about you tell them to come over? So that was Tuesday. Wednesday, we came back to check on everything and still no power. I got their number, or the wife of the neighbor. I got her phone number. Now, mind you, my phone is still broken. Thank God for insurance. We put in an insurance claim on Monday morning before the power went out. We did an insurance claim on my phone. And so we were just waiting for it to be shipped. So anyways, I had to use my husband's phone to text her. But we were texting back and forth. And she's like, we'll let you know when the power comes back on. And I'm like, okay, thank you. And I'm like, well, they want you to come over for supper tonight. That way, you know, if you guys can take a shower, warm up. So bring your toiletries and a towel. He's in school to become a PA. And so I'm like, bring your laptop over to charge up. If you need to do a Zoom meeting or something while you're over there, you can do that. So they thanked us. So this was Wednesday night, and they messaged us Wednesday. They were going to come over, and they started driving over there, and the ice was really bad Wednesday. So they turned around and came home. And she said just as they came home, Encore, who's the one that's in charge of the power and all the power lines and everything, they had driven by, and she's like, the power's back on. And then about 10 minutes later, we get a text back saying, the power's back on for the rest of the neighborhood except for us. It went out after about 5 minutes. So we had power for like 5 minutes on Wednesday, and then it went out again. Well, then they found out that it was something with our transformer box to our whole side of the street. There was a malfunction or an issue with it, so they were having to get a replacement one, and when they could get that was kind of questionable. So then on Thursday, we came and checked on the house, talked to them again, invited them over for supper again, and we're like, you know what? My husband has a truck. We've driven in this for years. He can drive in it. We can take you over there and bring you back if you want. And they're like, no. We will come over. The roads aren't that bad, so we're not as worried about the driving. We'll come over a little bit later. So we had to stop and pick something up at Walmart on our way back for my husband's grandpa. I texted them when we got back. We were getting ready for supper. And they were just getting ready to leave around between 6 and 7 p.m. And she's like, oh my God, the power just came back on. She goes, but we're coming over anyways. So they came over. We ate supper. We all had a good time. And then she's like, I'm going to text you when you get home, when we get home, to make sure if the power, let you know if the power's still on or if it went off again. So she texted when they got back home and the power was still on. Friday, we decided to stay at my mother-in-law's just in case. And Wednesday, anyways, the other family went back to their house, except for their daughter ended up staying, because Wednesday, my niece decided that she wanted to come over and stay with all of us instead of being at her mom's house. So she came over, and so the girls, or their daughter, decided to stay. School was canceled for the whole week at this point, if you haven't been able to figure that out. So we ended up honestly just staying there until Sunday. And Sunday we brought the cats back. And yeah, we slept at home. The kids actually stayed at my mother-in-law's and my sister-in-law's because I had a doctor appointment on Monday. My husband had work. And it was just easier, instead of trying to get them ready, get them out the door, go drop them off there, and with my sister-in-law, because school, they did not have school on Monday. And due to, they still needed to repair a couple of the schools because there was a lot of places in Texas that had water damage from burst pipes because the power being out. That, and when it started thawing, pipes started bursting as well. So luckily in our house, the only damage that we had was we lost everything in our fridge. The freezer actually was fine. There was a few things from the freezer that we lost, but we only opened, like, the power went out and we did not open the freezer. I opened the freezer once on Tuesday when we came back, and my sister-in-law had been looking for eggs and a few other things, and I'm like, power hasn't been out for 24 hours, so those things should still be fine in my fridge. And then I opened it because I knew I had a 5-pound a roll thing of hamburger that I knew we could use at the house to feed everyone. So I opened it up to grab that, and when I did that, I just kind of felt everything was still solid frozen at that point on Tuesday. We didn't touch the freezer again until Thursday morning when we came over to check on the place. And I told my husband, I'm like, we need to clear out the fridge. We need to throw everything away before it starts smelling. So we took everything out. We took pictures of everything we threw out. Because I don't know if we need to do a claim on it or how to do a claim on it. And I checked the freezer then, and there was a few things that I ended up throwing away from the freezer. And that was more so they were towards the front of the door, and they were starting to get a little soft. They weren't thawed, but they weren't frozen. But if I touched anything further back, it was frozen still. So I wasn't concerned about it because, like I said, we never really opened the freezer door. So our freezer stuff was okay. The fridge, put it this way, because a fair week, the prior week, I procrastinated on my grocery shopping. And I think that's what saved us from losing a lot. So we did lose quite a bit, but it wasn't anything huge or major. It wasn't like I had just gone and done like a $100, $200 shopping trip and it all had to get thrown out. So anyways, we cleaned out the freezer. I checked our fridge, and we checked it then. And then the power came back on. So it would have had to all get thrown away anyways on Thursday. But the kids finally went back to school on Tuesday, thank God. I'm like, I have PTSD now from extended stays because of last year's spring break turned into a 6-month spring break. And then, like, even now, sometimes, like, power will flicker. It's always been that way since we moved here in Texas. Like, it happened occasionally in North Dakota, but, like, when the AC kicks in or the furnace kicks in, sometimes the power will flicker a little bit. it's only the lights will flicker. Like the TV will stay on, everything else will be fine. And now when it does that, I almost freak out, like panic, like, oh my God, are we going to lose power again? Even though they're saying everything power-wise is fine. So that was the last 2 weeks. And, well, when you're seeing this as a week after, so it would be 3 weeks prior. I'm filming this on Thursday night, so it was actually last week and the week before. This week, things have been kind of calmed down more so. I mean, we're still super busy. On Monday, when I went and picked the kids up after my doctor appointment, we were able to go to the store and get some of the items that we had to throw away. Now, mind you, the grocery stores were cleared out because people prepping for the storm. Well, then after the storm, the grocery stores were cleared out again. What little was left because people trying to restock their fridges and their freezers. So right now, it's just a crapshoot if they're going to have what you need. But on Tuesday, my husband and I went and we were able to get a lot more. There's still some things that are missing from what we had to toss out that Walmart nor H-E-B had in stock. But we were able to get, like I said, we were able to at least stock up a decent amount in our fridge. But and also the nice thing was I kept telling my husband before this happened, I'm like, I need to clean the fridge out. I need to clean the fridge out. I just always hated taking out the stuff from the fridge and then trying to quickly clean it before the stuff got cold. Or not cold, the stuff got warm. So I had no excuse when my fridge was completely empty. So it gave me a chance to completely clean out the fridge. Like literally, I wiped everything down before putting the stuff back in. So we've got a nice clean fridge with fresh foods in it. Or fresh staples in it. Like I said, there wasn't a whole lot in there because I hadn't gone shopping yet since fair. So that was, and then that Saturday between the kids had off Thursday, Friday. Saturday was auction day, so we had to go up and do the auction. So it was like one thing after another. Finally, I was able to decompress. Tuesday, like I said, my husband and I went and did our shopping while the kids were in school because it's just so much easier to do it without them. Yesterday, being Wednesday, was a busy day. And then today, Teffy and I took a personal day. So this is kind of what we did all day. I caught up on my DVR, what was recorded. I was able to find some of the stuff that wasn't recorded due to the power outage. On demand, I was able to find a few of the things. But yeah, her and I took a personal day. We did this kind of all day. Sometimes we were in this position. Sometimes we were up on the pillow. She was sleeping on the blanket next to my pillow. And then this is her Bucky's blanket. She's happy to have it back. I took it with when we went over to my mother-in-law's thinking that she would sleep on it, but we ultimately laid it on the floor so that they wouldn't track cat litter everywhere and I could just shake it out when we were done. So it had to get washed, and it got out of the washer because we were in a water restriction for a while as well on top of all of this. So I finally got to wash her favorite blankie. So now she's a happy kitty to have her Bucky's blankie back. You gonna wake up? No? Not gonna wake up? Teffy. Like, leave me alone when I was sleeping, but yeah. So we took a personal day. I know this is kind of a longer video and a rambly video. So I hope everyone will have a great week, and I will see you all later. Bye.